Uh, Great. Thank you all for taking the time and joining us here on the session for historical data management for forecasting. So today we would be discussing, in fact, quite a number of historical data correction option. And before even jumping to how we can correct the various events and various situations in the data, I'd like to give a small introduction of myself and about Anamine as well. I am Sheetal. I take care of operations in Anamine. We have been doing these webinars for quite a long time now. We started the Anamine Conversation series in the month of April, and where we brought various thought leaders in different industry segments, and we wanted to understand how the business situation is from different perspectives. And then we realized that there's a huge need to discuss a lot of disruptive situations that are happening in the market, how we can correct those situations and how we can plan them better. And that is the objective in this call as well. So thank you everyone once again for taking your time and joining us here. Let's talk about Anamind now. So Anamind helps company improve the planning process. I'm not going to get into the details of it. You'll find it on our website as well. But at a high level, we deal in planning solution. We have planning services and planning education where we provide a lot of training programs as well. Related to planning only. So that's what it is. When we say move to the planning solution, so we have three different solutions over here. One is Forecast Pro, one is Streamline, and another one is a Vanguard system. I'll be talking about Forecast Pro and Vanguard. How we can leverage. How I would be showing is the various situations that we have, how we can use these systems and correct and improve our forecast accuracy as much as possible through these systems. So now let's talk about the historical data management for forecast. And these are the various situations that we have found out basis our research basis, after talking to a whole lot of people from different industries and different companies. That's what we understood. The first one is historical correction for the various events. So especially an event like COVID, which we had not expected, such an event. It's a black swan event. So how do we go about correcting the historical data and correcting our forecast in such situations? Then we would also be talking about correcting the historical data for various disruptive events, not just COVID. There could be a whole lot of other events that might be impacting the planning space. The second part which we would be discussing about is the trading day correction, and that's really important. And we would be showing you how we can incorporate the sensitivity of number of working days per period, and also this might be applicable in the COVID instance as well, especially when our offices are not open throughout the month or throughout the week, and it could be that because of certain government policies, the things are open only for a specific period of time, and we want to now incorporate that feature. We want to know how many days um, our stores were open, how many days our businesses were running. That would help in determining how we can correct the situation. We would be talking about the other features as well, but let's talk about how we can correct events and how we can correct the trading days in the system. So let's move towards that. Okay, so this is a Forecast Pro, which you see over here. What we have done, we have created a dummy company for this a demonstration session today. So this company is into various segments. So it's into chemical paints, it's into cosmetics, it's into pharma, it's into fashion, apparel. So different segments are there. How we can now correct the historical data in such situations or such instances? First of all, let's talk about specific examples. So I'm going to take an example of an essential category and a non-essential category, and see how our forecast is or our sales are impacted in both the essential and non-essential category. So in essential category, I have in FMB product, which you can just assume anything, which is an essential category item, especially say for example, biscuits, the sales of which went high because people started buying them in advance, buying them in bulk, so that in case there is any lockdown which might happen, they have some reliable stock at their home. Again, sanitizer, hand wash, the sales of these two products also went high. We know, there are different methods by which we need to see how we can go about correcting these different situations. Then we have non-essential products, especially in the fashion retail, fashion apparel, where the stores are not open and the stores are not likely to be at par the way it was in pre-COVID times. So we now need to see how we can go about correcting those situations as well. So let's go one by one. Let's talk about the an essential product, the sales of which went high and quite high. In this case, we are taking a product where the sales is where the sales, as we can see in the past few months, especially from February onward, the sales went high by 60%. And when the sales increase by 60%, how do the system is going to give a flat line forecast, or maybe we do not know how the situation is going to be turning out in the future. So what we can do in this instance is we create a historical data correction. So there are two methods, at least in this system. Maybe you might be able to find many more, and feel free to share those examples with us. We would like to understand from you how you have been doing it in your company. But say in this case, we have a product where the sales went dramatically high and dramatically high by 60%, and there are yeah. So in this case, what we have done, we have let me just show you an example over here. So we have created two different scenarios. One is scenario one, and another one is scenario two. So in this case, what we have done, we have told the system, and also a new normal category. So in this case, especially in the new normal category, we see that the sale went very high. The sales was normal till it was 100% of what you had been expecting till the month of Jan Feb. I'm really sorry. I think there was some internet issue at my end. I'm facing some internet issue. Okay. Thanks, Desikan, for letting me know that I was at the essential, non-essential part. Okay, so I'll just try to redo it from there. So we have, say, two different product categories. One is essential and one is non-essential. And definitely, as we know, the essential category, the sales were quite high, since these were the products which had very high sale, were very much in demand. Government had cleared them to be on sale compared to the non-essential, where the government created the policies that they shouldn't be open. So in this case, we have a product. I'm going to say take this product where we have a sanitizer, the sale of which was quite high since the month of March onwards. So it started from February onwards, but we definitely see that there was a very huge buying in the month of March and April, and similarly even in May the trend continued, and we expect that the behavior of the of the users have changed, the behavior of our customers have changed. They are now going to continue buying away, buying, continue having a very good habit of keeping their hands clean, and that's why the demand of sanitizer is going to go up. So in such cases, we have say created a data series where the sale, where in the history we say that it was a normal history where the sales were 100%, but from March onwards we are expecting an increase by 160%, 145%, and the trend, we are keeping a watch on the market, and we are keeping it to be 125% at least for the next few months. And then when we have this kind of instance available, what we can do is we tell the system that use the weight corrections in the data, use the new normal series. The new normal series indicates that we would have say a normal sale till the month of till the month of Jan or Feb, whatever time period that we specify. But from March onwards, we see there would be a very high increase in sale. It's going to be shot up by 165%, as we see that there's the sales have been the sales went high by 60%, and it's going to continue up till August, and then we are wanting to monitor it for a few times, and then that's how we are going to correct the data. So this is one way of correcting the history, where we give certain weights in the history at different point in time, and then normalize our history to essentially generate the forecast. It's really important that we do this exercise, because it helps in giving a better smoothened history for the forecast. We similarly also have a different data series where in the non-essential product category, the product sale went down, and I'm just going to remove the yeah, so I'm just going to remove the modifier in this example. So, and we can see in this case, for the last couple of months, the sales is quite low. The sales is low, and we believe that the sales might not be picking up, or it might pick up, but after some time, say even in say clothes, since people are staying at home, they might not be buying it for some time now, and we see that the history is indicative of it. My sales dropped from the month of Feb, and that's the reason we have created a new two different scenarios where we see that the sale is low in the month of Feb, March, April, May, and June. So the sales is low, but from Jan onwards, we are seeing that it's slightly improving. I'm really sorry about the voice issues today. There is a bad internet issue at my end, but I hope we would definitely be sharing the recording, and we might be doing the session again if this continues. I'm really sorry about it. Okay, say from June till September, we see an increase in trend. And from September onwards, we believe that the sales would increase, but it will not go back to the normal times. The sales is only going to be 60% of what we had initially expected in pre-COVID times. And we create this kind of pattern in the data series, and we tell the system that in this case, where we had expected a 70% drop in our sale in the past few months, and we are going to continue, we are expecting the same for few more months as well. So let's clean the history. Let's normalize the history again. I'm going to choose scenario 1, where we are going to only have say some 60% or so from for the next few periods, but then it will increase. And similarly, in this case, I can also again use a scenario 1 or scenario 2, which are more or less the same. So you can create those scenarios for your business, and then see how can we shape the data, how can we shape the data in a way it matches our business situation. So that's how the system is doing in the back end, that it's normalizing the history for all the time periods. It's using the multiplier or the weights that we have given. Those acts as a multiplier in my history, and even in forecast. So we can simulate that in forecast. So if he says, my forecast is going to be 60%, so whatever number that comes out after my normalization would get multiplied, say, by 60% or 70%, or maybe 130% if we are expecting better sale, if there was a pent up demand because of COVID time. That's one way of correcting the data. The second way, which we would be talking very quickly, is the manage event section, where we can say create certain events for our different data points. These data points would smoothen the history. It acts just like what I had shown you in the weights, but it's very simple to do. I do not have to put in the weights percentage in the system. I can just quickly tell the system that select different instances. Say for March, I've selected a an event which is COVID month first. The second event that I'm going to select is for second month, and for the third month respectively. So I have three different ways in which COVID behaved in the 3 months, and that's what I'm trying to use the historical data for. Once I click OK, my historical data is normalized. But note that here that the system has removed these 3 points as my, or basically smoothen out the history for these 3 points, and then has generated the forecast, which seems to be pretty high. But it could be this case, especially in cases like phones where the demand was pent up, and we see that the customers are going to resume buying after lockdown, because they realized phone is a very essential product. At least post COVID, we need to use it for different things, and that's why people are going to go ahead and buy product. That same might not be the case with clothes category. And if I remove the modifier and when I apply the event, what we can do is we can use manage event option and tell the system that there was an event, and this event is also going to continue for next few months. So we are going to use the same information and mark events for the next few months as well. And you would notice the sales of the next couple of months went down, because we have told the system of simulating this COVID impact in my future as well. I'll not get into deep dive session over here, because this part we had also covered in our previous sessions last week. So I would be moving towards the trading day correction instance, which is really, really important, I feel. That's one of the key options that we would want to focus upon. So over here, a lot of in a lot of instances, usually what happens, especially in cases of say a company which does not do business on certain days of the week, or uh, say it could, say for example, if January is 31 days, it contains 31 days, maybe we are not operational throughout the month. During the new year time, our stores might be closed, or they might be open, vice versa, depending on what industry we belong to. So in such cases, we need to figure out how we can go ahead and make changes to our forecast in the way that it matches the our business objectives. So say in certain months our offices were open 31 days, in certain months it was open for a few days, or it could happen that we are possibly not keeping the stores open throughout the or sorry, we are keeping these stores throughout the month, but there is a day of week impact, or it gets impacted by the number of weeks that are there in these specific months. So certain months, so certain months there might be 4 weeks. There might be certain months which might be only for 5 week. So depends, maybe January was a 5 week month, but February was a 4 week month, or then March might also be a 4 week month, depending on when the week starts. So we need to incorporate such features. So in this case, I have an example where this is a product which is in gift category, which is sold like a normal product, but we see that the system has not been able to explain certain data point. In this case, say for example, February, the sales was low in the month of February 2018, but it was not so low in the month or in the year 2017 February. But again, it was low, and it kind of continued. But look at here in March, system is not able to explain these information. So what should we do in such cases? What we can possibly do is we can correct these particular time period uh, by marking them as events. Say we have an event of 5 in the month of Jan, 4 in the month of February, and so on and so forth. So we can create those days of week effects. Let me open another file where I've created the help one of the helper file for our for such instances. Yeah. Yeah. So in this case, I have an example where in this product, which it remained open for, this particular Jan 2016 had only 4 weeks. February had 4 weeks, but March had 5 weeks, depending on when my week is starting. So if say, for example, my week starts from Monday, and in March, Monday is, the first week Monday is part of March, then I would select that as a 5 week, because that makes March as 5 rather than 4. Or it could happen that the maybe in the next year, February is a 5 week, because some part of Jan and some part of March is incorporated in Feb, depending on when my week is starting. So we create these factors in the system and then apply them over here. And when I do that, when I apply to this particular item, I'm going to use a weeks option. You would quickly notice that the system would be able to explain these events. So the gap which was not quite explainable, especially for these months where the March there was a huge gap, and also in a lot of other months where we were not able to explain the peaks. System has now been clearly explaining those weeks, and that's how we have corrected the data points over here. So that's one way of correcting the trading days. Another important thing to notice is the number of open days that I had initially spoken about. Say, in this case, we have a product, or this is how our number of days were linked. So in certain months, we are open 30 days. In certain months, it's 29 days or 27 days. In certain months, it's only 25 days. In few months, it's even lesser than that. So we are able to explain. And over here, what I also wanted to bring in another information was that, especially during the COVID times, we had not been able to keep our stores open, and that's the reason our sales went down. Had these stores were open because of government norms or different scenarios, had our stores been open, then we would have been able to do better sales. But that's not the case. We saw that our offices were open only for certain time. Maybe it was open for 15 days or 10 days, 15 days. So we are normalizing the history by using this information. And in July, August, etc., we see that it's not going to remain open for quite long. We expect the number of days these our offices would be open would be for 20, 25, and we expect that it's going to be not more than 25 days in my future time period. So let's remove the modifier in this case, and in this case, this example was the drop in sale by 70%. So we are going to use this example, which we showed that how many days that the stores were opened is a direct impact, is having a direct impact on my sales. So we are going to use an open day correction, number of open day correction option over here, where we are telling the system, normalize our history by the number of days that we have provided in the data. So when we do that, automatically we see that the system is now slightly able to explain various deviations in the data, and it has corrected my forecast as well. On top of it, we believe that we had done a promotion in the month of Jan, because of which my sales went up. So we can also use a correction option where we tell the system that this was a promotion. It might not be happening again in the future. And when I do that, this data point would be explained by the system, and this point would go down, because the Jan promotion is not going to repeat again. And let's do that. And when I did that, automatically this data point, so my red color line, which is my fitment line, and green color line, which is my historical sales, actual sales data, it's now matching up, and I am able to generate a better forecast, which was not the case earlier. So these are a couple of methods by which we can look at the disruptive events, by either marking them as events, or correcting the history, or correcting the trading days, number of trading days, especially in the times of COVID. I think this is a very good starting point for the planning folks, that they can go ahead and correct the data point by using these options. Let's see the third option. The third one, we are going to start ahead with the seasonality part, or basically a seasonal pattern which we are trying to generate from either the existing, or we are creating our own seasonal pattern and using that as an option for our data point. So this usually happens when our data series is not very defined properly. We have either introduced a new product and we cannot use the seasonality from existing product, because the sales was quite fragmented. It could be either fragmented, or it could be very low in volume. It could be 1 unit, 2 unit per day, or such cases. So how do we go ahead and correct correct our seasonal pattern for at least the new products, where either we do not see a very good pattern, or we need to define the patterns properly, because the sales data for an existing product is not sufficient to determine the seasonal pattern. So there are different methods in the system. So I'm going to select a product, which in this case is yeah. So we have a energy drink product which we have launched now, especially realizing that the people need a lot of better immunity. So we are going to bring out a product which is into energy drink, which is also nutritious, and it's a very healthy product, and that's why we are going to promote this product big time. However, we cannot rely on an existing product's seasonality pattern, and that in such cases, what we can do is we can define our own seasonality over here. Either we can define our seasonality. Say, I'm going to use this example once again. I'm going to create a new example for you so that you get to know. So this is new product seasonality. So I'm just creating a pattern. Say in the month of Jan, this product, since Jan is usually it's a colder time, we do not expect the product to do very well. This is just an example that I'm creating. This is the kind of pattern that I want to create. In Feb, slightly the summer sets in, so my product is behaving better. From March, definitely I see a 70% trend. So slowly my product is going to pick up sale. In April, it's going to go 120%. In May, it's going to be going to 150%. In June, it's it's going to remain the same by 150%. In July, it's going to say reduce slightly because my rainy season sets in, so I might not be able to sell this product a lot. Depends on company to company, so I'm going to reduce it to 100. In August, it's going to be say 90%. In September, it's going to be 70%, then 65, and it's going to be 65, and then it's going to be say 30%. Sorry, 30%. So this is how we can create, our data over here, our seasonal data. So I'm going to go ahead, go in the system, refresh this data point. That's it. So I have a product. Assume that there was no sale for this particular product. So what we can do, we can go in the system and use either a component modeling feature over here. We tell that use a helper file. We are going to use this product and apply it over here. So my seasonal factors are picked in by automatically by the system. That's it. I can apply that. So that's one way. In this case, since I had taken very high numbers, so it's giving me a strange curve. But you see how we can create those seasonal pattern in our data and use that information for modeling as well in the future. So that was an intention. The second option which is available, say for example, we have an existing product. What we can do directly is in the system, use the seasonal component, extract the seasonal component from the existing product. I say okay. It's very simple to do, and I can go ahead and tell the system that manage. I get go to the open, so it's a 500 ml. I'm going to select okay, and system is going to automatically use those seasonal pattern and apply in my new product. So that's one way of extracting the seasonal indexes or creating our own seasonality for certain products, especially in the case of new launches or in the case of options where the product is not in a good the sale of the existing product is not quite good. It's very fragmented or it's very low. In such cases, we can make use of this option. The second option that I'm going to talk about, which we have over here, uh, is uh, is a product phase out and phase in, where this is really important. And even before say moving to this part, we can deep dive into new product forecasting as well slightly. Say in this case, I have a product where the sales go up. So this is a product which is following a specific launch pattern. So initially, when we had launched the product in December, the sales was not very high, but in January the sales went high, and in February it went down, and it's normal. And then we launched it in another location, or maybe this is another product altogether which we have launched, and we see that the launch pattern is slightly different. Over here, the sales pick up in the third month, and then it goes down. So the way I had explained that we can make use of the seasonal component from an existing product, we can actually extract the historical data from the existing product as well instead, and use that pattern, maybe use the launch pattern of this product from the start, if it behaved in a specific pattern, and then apply it by using the analogy model. We can tell the system that use the analogy model, and then we can apply it. So that's one way of using the new product, doing a new product forecasting or new product introduction, when we can use the existing product and apply the sales, apply the pattern to it in the new product. However, the second option that I'm going to talk about is that we create our own profiles. Let me show you the profiles over here. The profiles are really important because they help in basically creating the in creating our launch patterns. Yeah, so over here we have profile one. So in this case, we can see the first product where the sales go up in the second month and then it gradually goes down. So this is the kind of our launch profile of the new product. And then there is another launch profile. So we have two launch profile which we can probably use in this case and then apply them. So automatically our sales is our system is going to detect these profiles. So even in business we can create these profiles. It's really important that at least we have some base set to it, depending on the various information. Say we have the information from past point, sometime now we have analyzed the product introduction and we have noticed a different kind of patterns. So you can create your own launch profile from those patterns and use that information for the new product forecasting. So I can quickly go to the analogy section and I tell the system that, yeah, use profile one in this case, and automatically system is going to adjust my numbers automatically. In this case, because it's part of my launch profile two, I'm going to use another profile over here, which is my profile two. And that's it. There are other options available as well. For example, align seasonality or automatic selection, or automatically extending it after my launch period is completed and things like that. So and we can also define our launch total as well. I'll not get into those details because we have another session coming up for the new product forecasting as well. But just to give you a glimpse that how we can make use of the launch pattern, because this essentially helps us in not only correcting the history data. Over here we are simulating the pattern for my future time period as well for a new product basis my previous patterns in the sales. So that's how we can create the launch pattern and apply them. The second option is of the cannibalization. So there could be an option that a product is fully replaced after a certain point in time, or the product sale might be cannibalized. So in this case, say we have a product which is getting sold in Bangalore region, and the sale is in this fashion. So we see the this product which is selling at a normal pace, but we believe that the product is going to be phased out. So I'm just opening the my Excel file just to make this very clear. So we see that there will be cannibalization effect in the month of from the month of July onwards. So we see that the sales are going to cannibalize by 30% from July onwards. So we can use this information and apply them using the weight section over here. So we can tell the system that use the new product, or sorry, cannibalized information. So when I select cannibalize, where we see that from July the sales are going to be low because they have been cannibalized. So we see that system is automatically correcting it and bringing that information down. We can similarly have another set of example where the product is completely phased out. So in that case, we use a phase out situation. Say in case we believe that the product is getting completely phased out and it's not just a one-time, cannibalization, we can use the phase out option, because this is really important that we correct the forecast over here. We do not want to use the override section where we where we specify the numbers in the system, but we would be using the weight section where the system is automatically going to take into account the cannibalization impact and correct it. I'm also going to use another system, which is the Vanguard software for the cannibalization impact, you know, uh, taking that impact in the account for my and for the new products and phase in phase out. So in this case, I have a product. I have a product which is getting sold normally. This is a product in my APAC region. The blue color line is my historical data. The black color line in my pink band is my forecast, and the pink band is my uncertainty. Say we have the information that this product is going to get cannibalized by another product in some time. So what we can do, we can go to the system and use a supersession technique. We tell the system that use this product, and there might be a cannibalization of 30% by the new product. I'm going to define the transition date. Transition date is going to be July 1st. Or we can, if it's a complete transfer, which means that it is a complete phase in, phase out, we use we can leave it as blank so that the system automatically takes into account the inventory information and only transfer the forecast when the inventory is exhausted. So when I do that, I see automatically the system has reduced my forecast in this case by quite a margin of, in this case. And when I go to the new item over here, where we have this product, and say in this case it has automatically increased the forecast of a new product or an existing product by the same margin. So it has reduced the forecast or reduced the expected sales from the existing product, which is getting phased out, to a new product where we see that there would be a huge increase because of the cannibalization effect. So these are various factors which we can easily do in the system. That's very quick to do, and we can also do it as a process in our own setup as well. However, it's slightly difficult to do so many such instances in Excel. It's very easy to do in a system that I've shown you over here. We are, I think, quite ahead of. I've just consumed 15 more minutes in this entire session over here. But I think I'll just pause it over here and see if you guys have any questions. Then I can possibly take that up and see how we can, basically correct those situations. But this essentially covers the various factors that I wanted to cover in the historical data management today. Okay, I'll just wait for a few minutes and then I'll take a pause. I hope I was able to basically cover all the different scenarios that we were taking into account. Okay, so there's one question that we do not know how much cannibalization happens. That's okay. So what we can, if we know at least that, from which product to which product the sales are getting transferred, that's the first starting step, that we know which product is at least cannibalizing my existing product sales. So if we know that product, what we can do, we can at least wait for a few months and get to know the cannibalization impact. Basis my actual sales data, so there would be definitely certain cannibalization in sales that we can see that we can see in the sales trend, and use that to determine the percentage and then take a call. So it's, however, I would suggest that it's really important that we get at least start analyzing it, and we make that as a factor. Initially during the launch, we might not be able to know, but at least we need to take some guess just to begin the process. We can go either wrong or right. It doesn't matter. Even forecast is not 100% accurate. There is some margin of error there, so that there is no problem in going wrong. However, the main important feature is that we take action and start working upon it at least. And slowly over a period of time, we would be able to form it as a process. Okay, so there is new product launches are different from one to another, depends on distributor willing to take up. Yes, it might be the case in certain cases. So we can what we can usually do is we can create say 4 to 5 different launch pattern. So we can create the launch pattern, uh, different launch patterns, say 4 to 5. We need not rely on only one launch pattern. So what we can then make use of is we have at least few options, depending on how the distributor is going to take up our product. Then we can decide how which launch pattern to take up. But it, in certain cases it's also a good option that we not rely 100% on distributor. We, if possible, if it permits, then we take the offtake sales data as well, if it's possible, at least in certain instances, offtake or sellout data, because that's more closer to the customer and we would know how our promotions are impacting or what are the various launch patterns that are impacting our product, our product behavior. How we can copy paste the trend? Say it's fairly simple. At least in this instance, what we can do, there is an option over here where we can take up either my historical sales data or history plus forecast. We can take up seasonal component or seasonal indexes. We can also take our trend cycle over here. The trend is pretty simple. It's a trend cycle is quite simple. How the main information is to take up the seasonal component or the history component, because seasonal components determine whether our products are going to be high in certain months or going to be low in certain months. Or a trend is usually how we are increasing on a year to year basis. So that might not be so relevant, at least in the new product, but seasonal components are really important, and we can take up the seasonal components either from an existing product or the way I had shown in the Excel file over here, that we can create our own seasonal indexes. So these can act as my seasonal indexes altogether for one new product. I hope I was able to answer your question, Jessica. Okay, thank you so much. Um, in case we have any other question, I'll be happy to take up, or you can write to us at hello@terramine.com, and we would be taking up those questions, and we can mail you back the answers as well. Thank you so much for being with me. I've taken a lot of time of yours. Thank you so much. We also have another session tomorrow on demand sensing. That's also very, very critical information that we will be taking up at the same time tomorrow, 3 p.m. IST. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day. Bye-bye.